I installed hidden cameras at home and caught my wife cheating. A month later, I found out that she had a nervous breakdown and stopped taking care of our son. I feel a bit lost. It's been about 2 weeks since I discovered my wife's affair. I had suspicions for a long time, lots of warning signs, but nothing concrete. I decided to ask her directly, and her reaction was strange. She flew into a rage. "How can you even accuse me of this? I would never cheat on you." That only convinced me otherwise. I checked her phone and computer but found nothing. I bought a few small cameras and placed them around the house, then went away for the weekend to visit friends. I grew up in Norway near the Swedish border. I met my wife in Sweden. I was 20, she was 21, and she already had a 3-year-old child. We quickly bonded, and for the last 11 years, I have been the father to that boy. I love him deeply and consider him my son. We've been married for 6 years. Although now, that hardly matters. I returned home earlier than planned, when she definitely shouldn't have been there, and watched the footage. And yes, there she was, fooling around with another man. I recognized him. It was her colleague, Theodore. We were on good terms with him and his wife. I had thought the phrase "eyes filled with blood" was just a figure of speech. But I literally saw everything red. I had never been so angry in my life. I'm usually a very calm person, I almost never lose my temper, but that day I completely lost it. I punched the walls, slammed the bedroom door so hard it flew off its hinges and broke the glass coffee table in the living room. I bit the inside of my cheek without even noticing. When I shouted, I splattered blood on the walls and floor. At some point, I hit my head hard, which sobered me up a bit. I looked around at the mess and realized I needed to get out immediately. If my wife had walked in at that moment, I would probably have ended up in jail, at best for domestic violence, at worst for murder. I quickly packed a suitcase with essentials and grabbed my laptop. I work with simulations and modeling and have a powerful computer, which I needed. I sent a copy of the video to Theodore's wife, simply writing, "Your husband is cheating on you with my wife." I met my son near our house, hugged him, told him I would always love him, but that his mother was cheating on me, so I had to leave. I deeply regret telling him that he shouldn't have had to carry such a burden, but I was not myself at the time. I tried to go to Norway to see my family, but due to the pandemic, I wasn't allowed in. I rented a cheap apartment on Airbnb. I'm working but feel like a zombie and don't communicate with my wife. The only person I respond to is my son. He asks questions, and I try to be as honest with him as possible. I tell him I don't know what will happen next, but a divorce is inevitable. I'm trying to find a good lawyer. Her relatives, I don't answer at all. As far as I know, only my parents are aware of the situation. I don't want to contact friends because they are also friends with my wife. I am practically without support right now. I'm afraid that if I see her or speak to her, I will lose control and do something I'll regret for life. I also don't want to lose contact with my son, but I don't even know where to start. I'm still boiling with rage. I have no idea how to overcome it. I need to respond to my wife eventually, but right now I am too angry to be rational. I just wanted to write this down. Maybe it will help. So far, it hasn't. I already feel slightly better. I even went to an MMA club. I want to emphasize that I don't know how to fight at all, and my fitness is poor. In my youth, I fought a couple of times and always got my ass kicked. I talked to the guys at the club, explained the situation, and they were very friendly and wanted to help. They made me train non-stop for 2 hours. When that didn't calm me down, they sent me to the ring with a very experienced fighter. It was obvious he was careful with me. Even though I did everything I could, I didn't really defend myself. He let me throw small punches and kicks but blocked everything else easily. I managed to hit him a few times lightly, and he gently returned every time. Since I absolutely don't know how to fight, even his light strikes wore me out. He constantly checked if I was okay before continuing and even apologized a couple of times for hitting me harder than intended. Imagine apologizing for hitting someone in a fight. He didn't take me seriously and probably never will. But I really saw how skilled fighters handle things and decided to learn. These guys are the calmest people I have ever met. I want to be that composed. The fight helped me a lot. It truly lowered my anger. I'm still angry but much less, and now I can control it. I'll keep training, meet new people, but I still don't trust myself enough to face my wife. I told my son that no matter what happens, things will be okay between us. He is my son, and that doesn't depend on how things turn out with his mother. I think he needed to hear that. I also spoke with a few mutual friends and her parents. It seems my wife completely lost it. She calls everyone, admitting what happened, and even offers money to anyone who can contact me. I plan to communicate with her only through a lawyer, but that's expensive, so I asked my cousin to act as a mediator. I sent her some questions for my wife. We'll see what happens next. I also plan to contact the lover's wife. Some commenters suggested I tell my wife that if she lets me adopt my son, I might consider reconciliation, but I will never use my son as leverage. I would like to adopt him only if he asks me and if I'm sure it's his own choice, without pressure. Then I think I could manage it. I've received so much good advice here that I finally feel like I have a plan. I started calling my son twice a day. He always said he was fine, but I suspected otherwise. I went to individual therapy, which helped a little. What really changed things was boxing. The gym I went to was dirty and neglected, but the 5 guys training there were close-knit, and I desperately wanted to be part of it. They told me I had to speak to the owner first. Everyone respected him, so I was nervous. The old man's personality was tough. At first, he just listened, but when he spoke, I got worked up. Everything he said was true, which might have made me angrier. I realized I was arguing with him, trying to prove I was worthy. Still don't understand. He influenced my life positively, though being around him is uncomfortable. He helped me understand my anger and think clearly. A few days after my post, about 20 minutes after another call, my son called me crying and apologized for lying about things being fine at home. He said my wife just sits in front of the TV doing nothing. There's no food at home, the apartment smells terrible, and in the last 14 hours he ate only a few sandwiches a friend's mom gave him during a visit. I rushed home immediately. The house smelled of rotting garbage even in the hallway. The floors were covered with crumpled papers, dirty dishes, broken glass. I went to my son first, gave him a burger to eat while I talked to his mother, promising everything would be okay. He hugged me tightly, and I had missed him so much. I will never leave him again. My wife was just staring at the TV screen, exactly as my son described. But I hadn't realized how terrible she looked. She had lost so much weight, looked like a skeleton wrapped in skin, her eyes sunken, dark circles, pale lifeless skin, cracked lips, tangled dirty hair. Her clothes were filthy. I sat opposite her, blocking the TV. The smell from her was unbearable. There was a bucket on the floor, half full of a week-old vomit. I felt deep pain and pity. I wanted to protect her and help her clean up. But I had forgotten what she had done. Seeing her like that was unbearable. I think in some way, I still love her and worry about her despite what she did. I don't know if something is wrong with me. I didn't even know what to say. She clearly wasn't herself. I asked if I was real, and when I said yes, she cried like I had never heard anyone cry before, more like howling. It was so loud I flinched. She either fell asleep or lost consciousness. I put my Fitbit on her to monitor her pulse. It jumped between 100 to 150 BPM. I knew this was a bad sign. I laid her gently on the couch, wiped her face, and ran to the neighbors for help. They agreed to watch my son while I took her to the hospital. She has been there for about 7 days. Honestly, I've lost track. I visited her once, but she got so agitated that the doctors recommended no visits for now. She hasn't been diagnosed yet, and doctors don't know when or if she will recover. Since then, I've focused completely on caring for my son. He attends therapy regularly and seems to be improving. There's no doubt this traumatized him. I feel guilty for being the cause of his suffering. I contacted a lawyer to secure custody. I don't know how this will turn out. I also prepared for divorce but decided to wait. Cleaning took days. I disinfected the fridge, but it still smelled, so I had to buy a new one. I found my wife had taken all my dirty clothes, made a crude body out of them, even added some anatomical details. It looked creepy. I went through her papers scattered around the house. Mostly incoherent nonsense. Some pages had dates and times, but understanding anything was hard except a few pages with sorry written multiple times. Most pages ended with wavy lines mid-sentence. I have no idea what to do next. My anger has fully subsided, replaced by deep sadness from the situation and the trauma my son endured. I genuinely feel sorry for my wife. I understand why I was angry and realize I've changed trying to cope with this pain. I don't know if I have the strength to forgive. I will gradually rebuild my self-esteem and sense of masculinity. If my wife recovers, I'll talk to her and decide what to do. Right now, my main concern is my son. I need to ensure he's okay. I apologize that my story lacks exciting confrontations or revenge. I'm just exhausted and sad. I don't know what to do next. I have a few questions and would appreciate your perspective. Please don't tell me to just divorce, I will ignore that. I understand the decision is mine, and I will choose what's right for me and my family. I barely sleep and sometimes feel confused. I value different opinions, they help me reflect. My wife is still in the hospital and refuses to see anyone except her mother. She doesn't want anyone speaking.